7.3, that is the station you are listening to. And Ceaser mentioned earlier that we had a special guest in the studio with us. Well, we'll go straight. She is Melissa A. Jones, and she is USAID's mission director to Nigeria. We'll be talking quite about a lot of interesting things this morning, but let's meet her first. Good morning, Melissa. How are you?
Good morning, and I'm really glad to be here, and it's great to be with your listeners at Classic 97.3 FM.
Yeah, good to have you.
Nice.
Let's find out a little about who Melissa is. She was sworn in as USAID's mission director to Nigeria on September 29, 2023. She served as the Deputy Assistant Administrator in the Bureau for Global Health most recently. And throughout her career, she has been on the forefront of advancing the development sector, serving in senior leadership roles in countries across Africa and Asia. She's well known for leading worldwide teams of subject matter experts and executives to develop evidence-based solutions to solve some of the most pressing development challenges. And she's trained as an epidemiologist. Right?
That's right.
Got it. Okay, let's just jump right into the matter. What is the United States Agency for International Development, and what kind of work do you do in Nigeria?
Thank you. That's an excellent question to start out with. USAID promotes broad, inclusive economic growth, agriculture, food, and nutrition security. We really strive to ensure that our partnership with countries really push for a better educated population, a healthier population, a population that is accountable, inclusive, and has a responsive governance. Gender equity is a core to the work that we do and quite cross-cutting, as well as really supporting the private sector. So as a development agency in the development wing of the United States government, we really work on all of these various sectors that I've just mentioned to just ensure a better life for the partner countries that we work with.
So you're talking health, you're talking agriculture, you're talking businesses as well.
That's right. That's right. And of course, key to all of this and is the ability for people to actually shape their own destiny. So the idea is that if people have the tools, if children start out right with a good education, if women don't die in childbirth, if there are the youth have employment and opportunities, that we are all across this globe prosper. And in Nigeria, the saying goes that by 2050, 1 in 5 Africans will be Nigerian. If we, as the United States government, does not, if we don't partner with Nigeria, imagine what a world would be without that partnership, and imagine what a world could be and will be because of the partnership.
We're great people, aren't we? Nigerians are great people.
It's an honor to be in this country. It's an honor to be amongst Nigerians in all the work that we do.
It's nice having you being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so speaking about the U.S. government and the government of Nigeria, about the Binational Commission, can you tell us a little bit more about the event?
Yeah, so what was it now? Last week, April 29th to 30th, we had a delegation come from the United States, led by the State Department, and with my own agency, USAID, to really meet with the government of Nigeria and senior leaders here to really talk about our shared interests. We discussed a wide range of bilateral and global issues which we want to advance together. And that includes things like security, that includes things that you mentioned, agriculture, human development, prosperity, really ideas that are really grounded in shared values of pluralism and respect for sovereignty. So this type of partnership we have in many countries around the world, and especially with Nigeria, we have advanced this approach of this binational commission on a regular basis. and it really does help us come together to talk about things like democracy, governance, accountability. It's really renewing our commitment to each government, renewing their commitment to this shared respect for democracy and human rights.
So in 2024 is a historic election year. And with more than 2 billion voters set to go to polls in 50 countries, including the US, can you expand on what democracy governance means to the US government and how Nigeria actually fits into this? How important is democracy to the US government?
So, it's a fantastic question. I'm sure your listeners have lots of thoughts about this as well. Democracy and accountable governance is really key to most countries. And for us as the U.S., we really, in our own country, really want to ensure that democracy and good governance accountability is key. We want to prevent corruption. We want to ensure that all citizens have faith in government. And I'm sure that is also something you share here in Nigeria. We want to make sure that those leaders are accountable to their citizens. And so we often, in the U.S., always say that democracy is not something that you can take for granted. Democracy is something that you have to continue to push for and thrive, and your participation. You can't sit on the sidelines.
That's right.
Right? It's not a spectator sport.
Exactly.
You have to engage in democracy. And so, like the U.S., we look to the citizens of Nigeria to also engage in democracy, not sit on the sidelines.
So how do you hope to achieve this, though, working with the Nigerian government?
Well, so we have a number of projects that we work with. We work with civil society entities. We also work with government entities. We work on issues of human rights. We try to deal with peace building, like we have a big project in Plateau State to address issues of farmer-herder conflict. We have support to Borno State and Governor Zulum there to try to move from humanitarian assistance to actually more of development work. Our goal is to lay the groundwork in a sustainable way for prosperity, because when Nigeria prospers, Africa prospers and the world prospers.
Very true.
Awesome. Now, I understand that USAID collaborates often with private sector. What kind of partnerships do you have with the private sector here in Lagos?
So fundamentally, in development, you can work in the public space, but really you have to engage the private sector to ensure sustainability. So we work with private companies. We work with those entities that really focus on advancing community participation and community rights, community programming. And so we are closely, as USAID works with the U.S. Development Finance Corporation, to really partner with banks, to partner with corporations and foundations to advance the lives of women and youth and children by investing in them. Some of this
So you're
is
talking small, medium businesses, you're talking
small,
large
medium
scale,
businesses, micro businesses. We know that even if you give just a little bit of money to a company that's just starting out, that if you give them a helping hand, they do quite well, and they're able to pay back those loans quickly. So yes, it's small and medium businesses. It's really helping to improve the entire sectors of, like, let's just talk about the health sector, for example. You probably know that Nigeria has the highest maternal mortality rates in most of Africa. It's quite startling to think that a woman could actually die in childbirth. It shouldn't happen this day and age. But by partnering with entities that actually support ambulance, that support medicals and labs, medical institutions and labs. Most people go to services in the private sector if they can. And so by actually financing and supporting the private sector, it actually in turn supports the lives of pregnant women, their children, and their families.
And you've talked about a $1.2 billion development assistance from USAID, especially in the health sector. Why are you passionate about the health sector?
Well, health is fundamental. I mean, we can only just look back at COVID and see how economy shut down when you don't have adequate health and you don't have adequate response to disease of pandemic potentials, that you don't have that you don't have a really robust health center. Imagine this: when someone gets sick in your family and you don't have health insurance, the first thing that you start doing is selling your assets. You sell, if you have a car, you sell your car. You may not be able to send your kids to school that year because someone in the family is sick. So health is a driving factor of any society's ability to obtain prosperity. So our goal is really to advance, right, healthcare. If we can get that right, if we can ensure that families live well and they have a healthy lives, then they will produce, right? They will move forward. All people want in life is to be able to advance their God-given right, and that is to live a life that is healthy, that is secure, and that they can actually do the things that they need to do for their families, right? That's what we all want.
It's very important because when you're healthy, everything around you works. So how are you going about this with the investments you've done? How have you, with the AIDS, I mean, how have you gone about this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. We invest across the spectrum within the health sector. We support HIV mitigation. We support maternal and child health. But we also support child health, nutrition. All of these activities are really important. But we also support other activities too. We are right now working, and the reason why I am here just in the last few days is we have a partnership now with Coca-Cola to really address the issues of plastic pollution. And our goal is to really move more in that recycling space. You know, so much of the plastics in Nigeria are not recycled. And that is a huge challenge for all of us because when things are not recycled, the plastics are in the waterways, they're in landfills, and they really damage the environment. They pollute the environment. So by recycling, our goal is really to work with Lagos State and as well as Anambra to do more of recycling and to reuse as much as we can that plastic. It saves energy, it's the right thing to do. And so we encourage the entire food and beverage industry to really also buy recycled goods as opposed to starting over and using those goods that are not recycled. It's just really, frankly, a waste.
And so we get to burden the environment more if we don't learn to recycle. So
that's right.
Something we need to do.
That's right.
So how about AIDS? How serious? You talked about HIV. How serious is that?
Well, in terms of the size of the population in Nigeria, it is quite serious. Over the past 20 years, the United States government, through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, have invested about $8 billion towards ending AIDS as a HIV epidemic. And that is really has been very successful. The number of cases of HIV is around more like 1.6 million people in Nigeria with HIV. And so they need access to treatment, they need access to care, they need access to a number of spectrum of care. Our goal is to make sure that those that are living with HIV and that are on treatment are able to live long and healthy lives, right? And just imagine at the beginning of the HIV pandemic, so many people died. And now today, HIV is a manageable disease. And so our goal is to support those communities living with HIV, but also ensure that people don't get it. And so we do a lot of work in that space as well.
So there's a lot of work done about preventive measures.
Correct. Correct. Of course, there are still communities and still people who still acquire HIV. If you think about the woman who has HIV and may transmit that to her child if she doesn't have proper health care. The man who may have multiple partners or so forth, and is not protecting himself. That is a big concern. So we want to prevent anyone from acquiring HIV. That's the first goal. And we talk about this as 95, 95, 95. Really, those people who are, that 95% of the population are actually tested, that we get 95 of the people who test positive on treatment, and then 95 of those percent actually have their viral load is suppressed so they're not able to transmit the disease. So that's our goal in HIV prevention. But there's so much that we're doing across the spectrum of healthcare that, again, partnering with civil society, local communities, as well as the government of Nigeria in this space. So I'm really proud of that work.
Okay, great. We've spoken about HIV. Can we talk about malnutrition? It's often overlooked as one of Nigeria's major development challenges. Can you explain how the U.S. government works with Nigeria, the private sector, and other partners to mitigate the effects of severe acute malnutrition?
I tell you, my brother, this is a big issue. This is a real challenge. So we're now moving into the dry season. The next harvest doesn't come until, August, September. And there will likely be 31 million people in Nigeria that are food insecure. And of those, there will be a number of more that are actually experiencing severe and acute malnutrition. I just came back from Adamawa, and I have been in a health center with a child who is suffering from severe acute malnutrition. And it is heartbreaking. And the only option for that child is clinical care. And that is done through what we call RUTF, or ready-to-use therapeutic foods. It is a medicine. And that medicine will allow that child to actually to potentially be cured, but the idea is to have more calories, to be able to be able to not have to experience what we call stunting, which is their growth is not really commensurate with their age, right? So right now, there is a concern that in Nigeria, 3.6 million children are facing malnutrition. And that has impacts on their education, that has impacts on their learning and development. So working with civil society, foundations, government, we're trying to address these issues, but they're complex. The issues around agriculture are complex. If you think about it, look how much rice is costing these days. I mean, it's increased so much. And a lot of the underlying issues are issues of security and issues of very old ways of doing farming. You know, still in Nigeria, 80% of farming still relies on rainwater. It's seasonal. You know, you have tomatoes at one time, and then the season moves on, and then you have mangoes, and then the season moves on. And the idea is you want a good supply chain of food. You want to make sure that you have modern equipment, including drip irrigation, and not rely on rainwater. And then the other thing you want to make sure that you do is that you don't, as a farmer, that you can go to the fields and not be concerned about insecurity, about violence. So it's a complicated thing. These are complicated issues.
Is this what USAID is trying to help out with?
That's correct. That's correct. So look, no one single entity can really address these problems alone. We understand that we bring really subject matter experts, renowned experts to Nigeria, working with the Nigerian government, working with local partners to try to solve these issues. It is not something that you solve overnight. It is not something that you solve in a week. We have been at this for decades. We will continue to support the government, support civil society to advance these issues.
So you're
And
meeting
at
with
the
those
same-
other grassroots as well?
We are
Are you
meeting-
interacting? What is...
We are meeting with those on the grassroots, absolutely. But let me be clear about this. We also need to hold government accountable
Very
to
important.
some of these issues. So when I say we're working with government, we are actually asking those questions. Why is this still happening in terms of insecurity? Why aren't we doing more in terms of advancing the agriculture sector? And in some instances, and I'll be fair, some instances government has taken this on and they're addressing it. And other instances they're not, and that we work closely with civil society to advance our shared goals. Our goal, I'm a member of the United States government, right, Foreign Service, and our goal is to partner with the government. Not every entity has the solutions, but by working together, we work collaboratively to advance these shared goals. And I can tell you, everybody wants that I work with, from government to civil society and to my own agency, wants to see Nigeria prosper.
So what's the progress with all the activities you've engaged in? How would you rate the progress so far?
So that's great. It depends upon the sector. It depends upon the area of focus. But I can say that, for example, in HIV mitigation, we're done quite well, and that is with direct partnership with the government. In the agriculture sector, we need more private investment. We need more production of foods. We need to make sure that there is not post-production loss of foods. We need to address the issues of security. So it really depends upon the sector, but I can say I am pleased with my work and the work of my agency here in Nigeria, and it's because of the Nigerian people that every place that we go, we are appreciated in the work that we do. And even being in Lagos and just in the last day or so, it's been just such a privilege to hear from young people. I mean, what an creative space that you all live here. I'm from the state of California, and I need to be by the water and by the ocean. I feel that that's the place where creativity happens. And you all have that here. It is awesome to be amongst young people, particularly in the creative space, that are really moving not only your arts sector forward,
right,
but fundamentally it's moving the entire economy forward.
It's
so
the Cantu spiriting the
it is.
average Nigerian. All right, we have been speaking with Melissa A. Jones, USAID's Mission Director to Nigeria. I've been talking about a lot of issues regarding health, agriculture, well-being, business of the Nigerian people. It was great having you here, Melissa.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be at Classic FM 97.3.
So which of the meals have
Do I?
honestly?
You know,
But
in my
you're radio.
second life, I think I want to be, you know, a DJ.
Okay.
This is my
So have you had any Nigerian meals so far?
Nigerian meals. Oh my goodness, you need to taste my pounded yams.
Oh, wow, okay.
All right.
Okay.
You know-
Jollof rice?
My jollof rice is not good, but I have tasted very nice jollof rice. People ask me, is it better to have jollof rice in Ghana or is it better to have
that
jollof rice in
competition.
Nigeria? and I can tell you, I have been to both places, and I can tell you, it's better to have jollof rice in Nigeria.
Exactly. Yes.
Amala. Have you had amala? No, you have not.
I have not.
You should. I should take you to go have amala.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you learned any pigeon yet?
I learned things every now and then. I can tell you what I went to the market and I learned the word shanyoai.
Yes, so shine your eye. Thank you so much, Elisa. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Like and hit the subscribe button for more videos. Also check out our latest videos on the Classic FM 97.3, because we are the station that plays every song you know.